I still remember the morning we left the orphanage like it was carved into my memory forever. I was 16 years old and my brother was 14th and quiet and always staying close to me. The orphanage building had been our whole world for as long as we could remember. Long hallways, cold floors, shared rooms, and rules written on boards that never changed. Faces of caretakers came and went, but we stayed year after year learning not to expect much from anyone. No one talked about the future there. You just lived day by day waiting for nothing. That morning there was no ceremony, no goodbye speech, no luck wishes. A caretaker called my name and handed me an old envelope. Her hands did not shake. Her face showed nothing. She said this was all that was left for us. Her voice sounded like she was closing a file, not sending two boys into the outside world. I asked what was inside. She said it was land, and that was all she knew. Then she turned away. When we stepped outside the building, the air felt strange, like it did not belong to us. The sky looked wider than it ever had before, and the sunlight felt too bright. My brother grabbed my arm tightly, like he was afraid if he let go, the world would take me away. The envelope felt heavier than paper should feel. Inside was a folded document, and a map covered in numbers and lines. The document said we owned land. 500 acres. The number did not make sense to me. It sounded like something meant for rich people, not two boys who had never owned anything. There was no mention of a house, no money, no instructions, just land and coordinates, signed by a name we had never heard before. We took a bus until the road ended. Then we walked, carrying small bags with everything we owned. The farther we went, the quieter it became. The sounds of the city faded, then even the sound of people disappeared. All around us was empty land, dry grass, rolling hills, and a stillness that made my chest feel tight. My brother asked me if this was a mistake or if someone was playing a joke on us. I wanted to answer him. I wanted to tell him everything would be fine, but I did not know if that was true, so I stayed quiet and kept walking. The map led us deep into nowhere. There were no buildings, no fences, no animals, no signs that anyone had ever lived there. My legs ached and my brother started to slow down, but he did not complain. He never did. Finally, we reached the spot marked on the map. At first, I thought we were in the wrong place because there was nothing there, just land stretching in every direction. I felt anger rising in my chest, thinking this was all a lie. Then I noticed something strange. One patch of ground looked different from the rest. The dirt was darker, pressed down and uneven, like it had been disturbed long ago. In the middle of it was a metal door, almost hidden under soil and weeds. Rust covered its surface and deep scratches ran across it like claw marks. It did not look natural, like it belonged there. My heart started beating fast. My brother knelt down and brushed dirt away with his hands. His fingers were shaking and his breathing was quick. We pulled together using all our strength. The metal screamed as it opened, making a sound that echoed across the empty land. Cold air rushed upward, carrying a smell of dust, steel, and something old. Beneath the door was a narrow staircase leading straight down into darkness. My brother looked at me, his eyes wide, asking without words if we should run. I was scared, but something inside me felt pulled toward that staircase, like it was calling us. We stepped down together, leaving the surface behind. The door closed above us with a heavy echo that seemed to travel forever. The stairs felt endless. Each step took us farther away from everything we had known. At the bottom, a long hallway appeared, lit by dim yellow lights that flickered but stayed alive. The walls were thick steel, marked with faded warnings and symbols. My brother whispered that it felt like being inside the earth itself. We moved slowly, afraid to touch anything. But nothing jumped out at us, no alarms, no voices, just silence and the low hum of machines still running. Room after room opened up, sleeping areas, storage rooms, water tanks, and equipment. Some broken, some still alive. Beds were bolted to the floor, shelves were lined with canned food, sealed crates, tools, and maps pinned to walls showing tunnels running beneath the land. This place was not destroyed. It felt paused, like someone had built it with care and then walked away, planning to return someday. As we explored deeper, I felt something strange growing inside me, a feeling I had never felt before. Control. No one was watching us. No one was telling us what to do. The bunker felt hidden, safe, like the world could not reach us here. My brother smiled for the first time that day and said it felt like a secret city made just for us. That night we sat on the cold floor sharing food we found nearby. The lights hummed softly above us. The walls felt solid and unmovable. Above us was open land, and a world that had never wanted us. Below us was shelter, safety, and silence. For the first time in my life, I did not feel like I was waiting for something bad to happen. As my brother fell asleep beside me, I realized this bunker was not a curse. It was the first real thing we had ever owned, and it felt like the beginning of something bigger than both of us. The morning after our first night in the bunker, I woke up to the faint hum of the machines. My brother was already awake, staring at the ceiling. He looked small in the dim light, but his eyes were wide, full of wonder. We decided to explore more of the underground world and see what was hidden beneath the land. We walked down hallways that twisted and turned like a maze. The floors were cold metal, and the air smelled of dust, steel, and old machines. We found doors with labels and panels that had buttons we did not understand. Some were open, some locked, and we had no idea which one we should try first. Every room felt like a puzzle waiting to be solved. We found a workshop with tools and old machinery. Some of it was covered in rust, but some pieces still worked. We tried turning knobs and levers and found that some machines hummed back to life. The sound was satisfying and strange, like we had just unlocked a secret. The workshop had shelves filled with crates of parts, wires, motors, and strange objects that looked like they belonged to a laboratory. My brother picked up a small metal box and shook it. It rattled, and we guessed it was either full of screws or something more valuable. We left it on the shelf, deciding we would investigate later. The water storage room was next. It was larger than anything we had imagined. Huge tanks lined the walls, and pipes ran everywhere. Some had valves and gauges. My brother tried turning one, and water hissed and dripped from a pipe above. We realized that this place could survive without anyone above for a long time. The thought was both thrilling and terrifying. I could imagine living here for months, maybe years, growing food above, storing water below, and never needing anyone else. We did not speak much, but I could see my brother thinking the same things. As we walked through the bunker, we found a room with maps pinned to the walls. They showed tunnels and paths running beneath the 500 acres. Our land was much bigger than we thought. Some tunnels were narrow and dark, others wide enough to walk through comfortably. Some rooms were labeled storage, some sleeping quarters, some laboratories. My brother traced the lines with his finger, whispering names for the tunnels. We both laughed quietly at how ridiculous the names sounded, but also how alive the place felt. We explored the sleeping quarters next. They were rows of metal bunks, each with thin mattresses and blankets, folded neatly on top. Some had personal lockers that were empty. Others had old journals, papers, and photographs. We opened a few carefully. Some showed people who had lived here long ago. Their faces were serious, and the words in the journals were strange, but we could feel their presence as if they were still watching. The bunk area had a small common room with tables, chairs, and a kitchenette. It looked simple but functional. We could imagine ourselves eating here, cooking our own food, and making the bunker feel like home. As the day passed, we discovered more secrets. We found a generator room with machines still running. A control panel showed lights blinking in patterns. We did not understand the purpose, but it was clear that someone had taken care of this place once. We realized the electricity could last for a long time if we learned how to manage it. My brother started experimenting with switches and buttons carefully, testing what worked and what did not. He smiled proudly when a fan in the corner turned on, blowing cold air across the room. Exploring became our routine. We would wake early, descend into the bunker, and check each room one by one. Each day we learned something new. Sometimes we found canned food or medicine boxes or even old clothing. Other times we found broken machines and puzzles we could not solve. We made notes and sketches, drawing maps of the rooms, tunnels, and hidden areas. The bunker felt like a world of its own, a secret kingdom under the land that belonged only to us. We also started thinking about the surface. Above the bunker was empty land, but it could be more. We explored small hills, fields, and patches of dirt, imagining planting gardens, trees, and small crops. We marked areas where water might collect and where sunlight would be strongest. We realized that with the bunker below and the land above, we could create a self-sufficient life, something no one had ever allowed us to have before. It felt strange to think that this entire future was in our hands. Night times were different. We would sit in the dim light of the bunker listening to the hum of machines. My brother would sometimes talk quietly about what we could build, or make or find in the tunnels. I would imagine our lives stretching ahead, learning new skills, finding food, water, and materials. We felt strong, like we were finally in control of something we had never had before. We were not just surviving, we were beginning to live. Days turned into weeks. We started organizing the bunker and cleaning up some rooms. Dust was thick in some corners and cobwebs hung from ceilings, but as we worked, the place felt more like ours. The sleeping quarters became comfortable with extra blankets we found. The workshop became a place to invent and fix things. The generator and water systems were carefully maintained, and we learned their rhythm. The bunker no longer felt like an abandoned structure. It was alive with our presence. We also started to explore tunnels beneath the bunker. Some were long, dark, and full of strange sounds, but others led to rooms filled with supplies, maps, and notes left by people we would never meet. We imagined their stories, their lives, and their reasons for building all this. We realized that their foresight had given us a chance to start again, to have freedom and safety in a world that had given us nothing for so long. The tunnels became places of adventure where we felt powerful and capable. Above all, the bunker gave us something we had never felt before: control and freedom. We made decisions without anyone telling us what was right or wrong. We decided when to eat, when to sleep, when to explore. The world outside could wait. We had everything we needed below and plans for what we could do above. The land was ours, the tunnels were ours, and the bunker was ours. We were no longer children waiting for the world to decide our fate. We were the masters of our own life for the first time ever. By the end of the first month, we had settled into a rhythm. Each day exploring, repairing, and learning. Each night planning and imagining new ways to use the land and tunnels. Our bond as brothers grew stronger. We shared the excitement of discoveries, small victories, and dreams. We realized that the bunker was more than survival. It was a training ground, a place to prepare for whatever lay above and beyond the land we now called home. For the first time in our lives, we believed in the future, and we believed in ourselves. The days passed quickly in the bunker, and each morning, we woke up eager to explore more of our underground kingdom. My brother and I had grown used to the hum of machines, the smell of metal and dust, and the dim yellow lights that flickered across the walls. We had learned the rhythm of the generators, the water system, and even the ventilation. Some rooms we visited often, and others we explored only once. Each place held a secret and a story waiting to be discovered. We began creating routines that made the bunker feel more like a home. We cleared the sleeping quarters, stacking blankets neatly and organizing the bunks. Our small collection of food supplies was sorted by type and date, so nothing went to waste. The workshop became our favorite place to spend hours. My brother would tinker with old machines, and I would sketch maps or try to figure out how parts fit together. We laughed when something we tried worked and groaned when it failed. We learned patience and creativity in ways we had never experienced before. Our exploration expanded to tunnels and hidden rooms beneath the bunker. Some tunnels were narrow, dark, and eerie, but others opened into large chambers filled with shelves, boxes, and old equipment. We would take turns leading the way. My brother would shine the flashlight, and I would watch for anything unusual. The air in these tunnels was cooler and sometimes damp, but the excitement of discovering a new room or finding an old crate kept us going. We imagined the people who had built this place, their lives, their fears, and their dreams. We felt connected to them in a strange way, as if they had left us this legacy. Above ground, the land stretched for hundreds of acres, empty fields, hills, and patches of dirt waiting for us to use. We explored the surface, carefully marking areas for potential gardens and farmland. We tested the soil and found patches that could grow crops. My brother suggested building raised beds and collecting rainwater. We imagined planting vegetables, fruits, and trees. We even started thinking about building a small shelter above the bunker where we could rest in the sun and watch the land we now owned. The possibilities seemed endless and exciting. We started thinking about long-term plans, how to use the tunnels for storage and safety, how to make the bunker self-sufficient, how to grow food above and store it below, how to survive in winter and summer without relying on anyone else. Our discussions were long, sometimes late into the night. Our voices echoed softly against the steel walls of the bunker, and we laughed. At our own ideas, even when they sounded impossible, we felt capable and strong and ready for challenges we had never faced before. Every day brought a new discovery. Some days we found canned food or medicine we did not know existed. Other days we uncovered old journals and notes written by people who had lived here long ago. We read them carefully, imagining their stories and lives. We learned from their mistakes and successes. Their foresight had given us a chance we never expected. We realized that the bunker was not just a place to survive. It was a place to grow, learn, and plan for the future. As weeks turned into months, our skills improved. We could operate the generators, maintain the water system, and repair broken machines. We created a small garden above ground, testing different plants and seeds. We marked areas for fruit trees and small fields. We even started thinking about traps for small animals and ways to collect rainwater efficiently. Our lives had structure and purpose, something we had never experienced. In the orphanage, we felt proud and independent for the first time. Our bond as brothers grew stronger every day. We shared our fears, hopes, and dreams. My brother was brave and curious. I was cautious and thoughtful. Together, we complemented each other perfectly. We had each other, and that was enough to feel safe and strong. We laughed when something went wrong and celebrated small victories, like fixing a machine or successfully planting a row of vegetables. Our relationship became the anchor of our new life, and the bunker became our playground, school, and home. One night we sat in the common room of the bunker listening to the hum of the generators. My brother whispered ideas about new rooms we could create, tunnels we could explore, and systems we could improve. I imagined building a library, workshop, and storage area for tools and seeds. We talked about growing food and collecting rainwater. We made lists of supplies and equipment we would need. We imagined ourselves as inventors, farmers, and explorers all at once. The bunker became a place of endless possibilities. Our days were filled with learning, exploring, planning, and imagining. Each day we discovered new rooms, tunnels, machines, and supplies. Each night we planned our next moves and dreamed of what the future could hold. The land above and the bunker below created a world that belonged entirely to us. We were free to make decisions, take risks, and create a life we had never had before. Our confidence grew with each passing day. Eventually we realized that this life was more than survival. It was growth, freedom, and mastery. We were learning to think independently, solve problems, and work together as brothers. Our world was no longer limited to the orphanage or the streets. We had 500 acres of land, a bunker filled with resources and endless possibilities. We felt strong, capable, and hopeful for the first time ever. The future was ours, and we were ready to live it fully. By the end of our first year, we had transformed the bunker and surface land into a functioning, safe, and growing home. We had gardens, tunnels, storage rooms, and working systems for water and electricity. Our bond had strengthened, our skills and our courage had grown. We realized that what had seemed like a curse when we left the orphanage was actually the greatest gift we could have received. A land to call our own, a hidden world beneath the surface, and the freedom to create our life from nothing.